की जाए। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
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 नष्टप्रेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेव्या। भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वं रूपा कदा मायं ददाति स्वं पदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपत्कमलं श्रीगुरन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रतं सहगणरघुनाथवितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सर्वभूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितमांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुत देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So today we are doing Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1, Chapter 9, Text 37. Swanigamapahyat pratigya मृतधिकर्तुम वाप्लुतो रत्स्थः धृतरथाचरणो अभ्याचाल दुग्गो हरिरैव हन्तुं विभां गतोतरीय स्वनिग्मामपहयामत्प्रतिज्ञा मृतधिकर्तुमवाप्लुतो रथस्थः धृतरथाचरणोऽभ्यचालदृग् हरिरेव हन्तुं विभां गतोतरीय स्वनिग्मामपहाय मृतम् अधिकर्तुमवाप्लुतो रथस्थः धृतरथाचरणोऽभ्यचलदृगो हरिरैव हन्तुं विभां गतोत्रिय। Prabhuji, will you lead? You want to? Swanigmamapahayamatpratigya मृताधिकर्तुमवाप्लुतो रथस्थः Dhritarthacharana Dhrugo Harirevahantum Mebham Gatotariya. The word meanings, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So please repeat after me the word meanings. Swanigma, own truthfulness. Apahaya, for nullifying. Mat pratigna, my own promise. Ritam, factual. Adhi, more. Kartum, for doing it. Avaplita, getting down. Rathastha, from the chariot. Dhrita, taking up. Ratha, chariot. Charana, wheel. Abhyat, went hurriedly. Chaladuga, trampling the earth. Hari, lion. Eva, like. Hantum, to kill. Ebham, elephant. Gata, leaving aside. Uttariya, covering cloth. Repeat the translation after me. Fulfilling my desire and sacrificing his own promise, he got down from the chariot, took up its wheel, and ran towards me hurriedly, just as a lion goes to kill an elephant. He even dropped his outer garment on the way. So this is the chapter, the passing away of Bhishma Deva. So Bhishma Deva, we all know, he is the iconic character from the Mahabharata, from the story of Krishna and Arjuna. He plays a great role in the Kaurav and between the Kaurav and the Pandavas. So here it is, Bhishma Deva, he is about to leave the body and he is speaking on the Sharshaya, which is called the bed of arrows. So here he gives all the knowledge and he is talking about how Krishna, he broke his promise. So we go actually to the previous verses where the last verse even he says, when Arjuna was seemingly polluted by ignorance upon observing the soldiers and the commanders before him on the battlefield, the Lord eradicated his ignorance by delivering transcendental knowledge. May his lotus feet always remain the object of my attraction. So that is what a pure devotee aspires for. That is what Bhishma Deva is exhibiting here. So Bhishma Deva has given actually the great knowledge in these previous verses that have been coming along. I'm going to talk about some of what he has given. He was supposed to give the instructions to Yudhishthira Maharaj. And the first instruction that came up in this chapter to him was, don't grieve excessively. So one should not grieve excessively when some massive destruction happens or something happens like a mass tragedy happened. Just like we would connect it's coming, this shloka is coming at the time when India, we had a big air crash in India yesterday and many questions were coming up to me that why this happens, why so many people die like it happened there, and one person comes out alive out of that fire. So how did that happen? Here that's what it's said here. Yudhishthira Maharaj is being actually told by Bhishma Dev. So one should not grieve excessively because he says that no one can go against time and destiny which are ultimately controlled by the Lord. So he says to the Yudhishthira Maharaj, do not blame, because he was blaming himself for so much of mass destruction in the war. So he says everything happens under the supervision of the Supreme Will. So one thing we get to know from Srimad Bhagavatam and particularly from this chapter is that everything is happening under the supervision of the Supreme Will. Here he is talking about this particular verse, we will come to explain it later, as he is talking about how Krishna breaks out his own promise and how Krishna protects his devotees. So power of time, he's talking about the Kal. Just as a puppet moves by the will of the puppeteer, all beings move by the will of the time. So Krishna says, I am the Kal Chakra. Everything is happening because of my will. So the time is very powerful. Then he talks about the glorification of Krishna's role here, particularly in the verses from 16 to 18. He talks about how Krishna is the supreme orchestrator behind all the actions. He reveals that it was Krishna's plan to relieve the earth of its burden because the war is happening. Then he talks about the importance of dharma. Bhishma tells Yudhishthira that as a king he must now perform his royal duties and uphold the dharma for the good of the citizens. So that is how he is talking about here. And then he explains the great devotees never act independently, but always carry out the Lord's desire. That's the great souls are meant to do. That's what Prabhupada did. He followed the instructions of his spiritual master and he fulfilled the desire of the Lord. And Bhishma, then he gives the lesson of humility and gratitude. He then shifts his instructions. He talks about his instructions that one should live in gratitude and in humility. That is how one should lead his life or her life. Always remain humble and always live in gratitude. He says he focused focusing his consciousness on Lord's lotus face and divine pastimes as he prepares to leave the body. So that is how it's happened. He's leaving his body and he's talking about, he says that fulfilling my desire and sacrificing his own promise, because it was his desire that Krishna be present when he leaves the body. He had the vardhan, he had the boon of Ichha Mrityu. He could leave the body as at his own will. So had he wanted that Krishna be present, it was his desire that Krishna be present there when he leaves the body. And that was fulfilling, Krishna was fulfilling the desire of his pure devotee. And he sacrificed his own promise. He had promised, Krishna had promised he would not pick up any weapon. He would be there without any weapon. And he will be in the war, but no weapon in his hand. He will not attack anybody. Weapon means, when he promised that no weapon, that means he wouldn't be attacking anyone. But here he breaks his own promise. When his pure devotee is in problem, Krishna sees that Arjuna has been showered with arrows by Bhishma. To protect him, he ran. He ran from his chariot and picks up a wheel from a broken chariot and poses it as it is Sudarshan Chakra. And he ran towards Bhishma hurriedly, just as a lion goes to kill an elephant. And in that, he even dropped his own pitambar, his outer garment. That means he was so much worried about his devotee that he didn't bother about himself at all. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But still, he can do everything with just being there. But for his devotee, he appears. For Prahlad Maharaj, he appeared. For Arjuna, he ran down from the chariot. So in the purport, Prabhupada explains, the battle of Kurukshetra was fought on military principles, but at the same time in a sporting spirit, like a friend's fight with another friend. Duryodhana criticized Bhishma Deva, alleging that he was reluctant to kill Arjuna because of paternal affection. Actually, it is an 18-day war, and this is the 9th day. So till the 9th day, the war was happening. The Pandavas, Bhishma Dev had, of course, a soft corner for them, but he was not letting them win, and at the same time, not even easing the battle. He was fighting fiercely, but he would neither kill them nor let them win. It was happening like that. And Duryodhana was instigating him. Duryodhana wanted to instigate Bhishma, and so that he may become more ferocious in his battle. So this is the 9th day going on. And Prabhupada writes here, the battle of Kurukshetra was fought on military principles, but at the same time in a sporting spirit, like a friend's fight with another friend. Because in the evening, we know every evening after the sunset, the war would stop and everybody would be in their own camps, and having the cooking was done by one person itself. It's happening there by the king of Udupi. He had taken the role of being the cook there. And this was happening there. It was just like as if a friend's fight is going on. Duryodhana criticized Bhishma Dev, alleging that he was reluctant to kill Arjuna. A Kshatriya cannot tolerate insult on the principles of fighting. Bhishma Dev therefore promised that the next day he would kill all 5 Pandavas with special weapons made for the purpose. Duryodhana was satisfied, and he kept the arrows with him to be delivered the next day during the fight. By tricks, Arjuna took the arrows from Duryodhana, and Bhishma Dev could understand that this was the trick of Lord Krishna. So Krishna was actually doing all this to protect his pure devotees. He was being tricky in this war. The Ashwathama and the other things that are Shikandi, placing Shikandi in the front, that was all Krishna's plans were happening. So Duryodhana was satisfied and he kept the arrows with him to be delivered the next day. By trick, Arjuna took the arrows from Duryodhana, and Bhishma Dev could understand that this was the trick of Lord Krishna. So he took a vow that the next day Krishna would have to take weapons himself, otherwise his friend Arjuna would die. So Bhishma was very powerful, as we know. He had so many, his chastity, he had been blessed that he would be very strong in this battlefield. He would be very strong. So he actually here, Bhishma Dev had taken this vow again that he would make Krishna step down from the chariot. Said Krishna would have to step down from the chariot, otherwise Arjuna goes. So now his plans were successful. He made Krishna to actually come down from the chariot. So that's what Prabhupada writes here. That Bhishma Dev fought so violently that both Arjuna and Krishna were in trouble. And Arjuna was almost defeated. The situation was so tense that he was about to be killed by Bhishma Deva the very next moment. At that time, Lord Krishna wanted to please his devotee Bhishma by taking Bhishma's promise, which was more important than his own. So this proves in itself that Krishna keeps the words of his devotees, pure devotees. His words don't actually may take a back seat, but he upholds the promises of the desire of the pure devotee. He takes that up. Like in Srila Prabhupada came to America, he was just fulfilling the desire of his own spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He took up this arduous journey to America on a cargo ship where he suffered from 2 heart attacks. But then Krishna appeared before him in his dreams and he said he would be blessed, he would reach and he would be successful. And Krishna's promise was there in the dream that he will never leave the side of Srila Prabhupada. So that is how Prabhupada came to America and he established such beautiful movement and such beautiful temples came up. So this is all actually happens by Krishna's will. Nothing goes against Krishna's will. Everything is happening under Krishna's actually desire, fulfilling the desire of the pure devotee of the Lord. Seemingly he broke his own promise here. He said he would not take up any weapon. There's a beautiful incident when, I remember this story always when I think of this war that came up. Krishna had taken up this upon him that he tried to convince Kauravas to not to fight and give 5 villages even. If they would be satisfied, the Pandavas would be satisfied if he would give only 5 villages to them also. Because as Kshatriyas, they need the land. They have to be the owners of the land. But Duryodhana was not listening to it. He never gave in for that. And then Krishna called them to his rooms. He said, come to my room. He invited Arjuna and he invited Duryodhana. And he told them to be in his rooms and he would give them some options. And there he calls, Arjuna comes and enters his room and he actually stands at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. But Duryodhana, being very proud, full of false ego, he stands on the head side of Krishna because he never wanted to be at his feet side. So now Krishna he's lying down in his bed and his eyes are half closed. So he says, I'm going to give 2 options to both of you. One option is that one side will be my Narayani army, celestial army, all decorated with celestial weapons. So that is going to be in millions and millions. And the other side, it's me alone, without any weapon. I will not pick up any weapon for this war, and I will be a chariot driver. So these are 2 options. So he gives the first pick to Duryodhana. He said, whatever you pick up, you get the option to pick up first. And Duryodhana, being greedy, he doesn't respect Krishna. And he says, I don't want a chariot driver. What will I do with a chariot driver who also without a weapon? I don't need him. Because I have got thousands of chariot drivers, I don't need another chariot driver. And he fails to understand what Krishna is. Because Krishna, and then he says, I want the celestial army. And here Krishna says, Tatastu, okay, take away. And Duryodhan feels very excited, very happy that he thinks he has already won the war. He believes that he's got a large army. And now he says he's got a celestial army as well. So who can defeat him now? And he walks out of the room very happy, jubilant. And there Arjuna is standing at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord and still very fearful. And Krishna looks up at him and he says, why are you so fearful? And he says, I was thinking, if Duryodhan had picked you up, what would we do then? If he would have said he wanted you, then what would have happened to us, the Pandavas? And Krishna smilingly says, if I had given him the intelligence, then only he would have picked me up. I did not give him the intelligence to pick me up. So you see, even the intelligence to pick up Krishna on your side comes from Krishna. He sees our bhakti, he sees our devotion, he's sitting in our hearts. He knows what's happening in our hearts. He knows everything. So when we desire that we want Krishna, then Krishna takes away all the other desires from our heart. He purifies us. So that's how Pandavas are. They are totally purified devotees of the Lord. They are totally surrendered devotees of the Lord. They want only Krishna. They have no hunger for the land. That is why Yudhishthira is here at the lotus feet of Bhishma Deva. Because Krishna wanted Yudhishthira Maharaj to go over to Bhishma Deva and take the lessons to how to rule, how to become a good ruler. He wanted all the instructions to come from Bhishma Deva. Though Bhishma Deva is acting as an enemy to them, he is there on the enemy's side. He is actually shelling arrows at them. He is trying to kill 5 Pandavas. He is with Duryodhan, but yet here Bhishma Deva is giving instructions to Yudhishthira Maharaj, the Pandavas. So this is how Krishna's devotees are. They are totally surrendered to the words of Krishna. Whatever Krishna desires, they do that. And here we see Krishna became the chariot driver, the Sarthi for Arjuna, and then he is driving Arjuna's Rath. And here the same Rath is actually now in the battlefield under the shelling of the arrows by Bhishma Deva. So Arjuna is in a great difficulty now, because it's a vow that Bhishma Deva has taken up that he's going to kill Arjuna, and if he wants to force Krishna to come down the Rath and pick up a weapon. And Krishna did that. He steps down from the Rath. He picks up the wheel of a chariot and makes it a weapon. It acts like a weapon. And here Prabhupada writes, Arjuna was almost defeated. The situation was so tense that he was about to be killed by Bhishma Deva the very next moment. At that time, Lord Krishna wanted to please his devotee Bhishma by keeping Bhishma's promise, which was more important than his own. So here Bhishma is actually about to kill Arjuna. Arjuna is in a very tense situation now. He can be killed any moment. And Krishna doesn't want that. Krishna wants actually to protect his devotee, and he runs on from the Ratha on the earth and picks up the wheel to kill the Bhishma. So Bhishma, by keeping Bhishma's promise, his devotee Bhishma, by keeping Bhishma's promise, which was more important than his own, seemingly broke his own promise. He promised before the beginning of the battle of Kurukshetra that he would remain without weapons and would not use his strength for either of the parties. But to protect Arjuna, he got down from the chariot. He took up the wheel of the chariot and hurriedly rushed at Bhishma Deva in an angry mood. So this proves in itself that he was very angry, because this line proves just as a lion goes to kill an elephant, because he's charging at Bhishma just like the lion charges on an elephant. And this proves that he was very angry with Bhishma Deva, because Bhishma Deva is trying to kill his favorite devotee, that is Arjuna. And he got down from the chariot, took up the wheel, and in an angry mood as a lion goes to kill an elephant, he dropped his covering cloth on the way, and out of great anger, he did not know that he had dropped it. So, this is how it is. He became so angry, he became so ferocious at that time that he is simply running and he forgot that he had dropped his pitambar, his very dear yellow cloth that he hangs around his neck on the shoulders. He dropped it there. And Prabhupada writes, because it was the great anger, and he did not know that he had dropped it. So Bhishma Dev at once gave up his weapons and stood to be killed by Krishna, his beloved Lord. And Bhishma Dev, he surrendered to Krishna. He is fighting there against the pure devotees of the Lord, the favorite devotee of the Lord, Arjuna. But at the moment when he sees Krishna down on the ground, charging at him with his wheel, he drops his all weapons because he cannot fight against Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Lord, he knows that, and he is totally surrendered to the Lord. The fighting of the day was thus ended at that very moment, because at the sunset the fight would end up, and with the ethics they were fighting. So they following the ethics, not like these days where all such actions are taken in the dark of the night. But earlier days it was not that. This war was on ethical ground. So it was, the war ended for the day. And out of great, so it says here, and the fighting of the day was thus ended at that very moment, and Arjun was saved. Of course, there was no possibility of Arjuna's death because the Lord himself was on the chariot. So Prabhupada says there was no possibility of his death because Lord was himself on the chariot. So when the Lord is on the side of the devotee, how can devotee be harmed? We see how Prahlad Maharaj was protected, how Dhruva was given what he wanted, yet all the asakti, the attachment was taken away from Dhruva. So Dhruva got what he wanted for what he had done the tapasya for, the penance he had performed to get a big kingdom. He got it. But when Krishna appeared in his life, he did not want it. But Krishna gave him, but took all the attachment from him. He did not become attached to what he had acquired. He had acquired a big kingdom. He was actually the whole planet, the whole earth was under his, he was ruling, or it was his rulership going on, but then he was not attached to it. So that is how Arjun was even protected by Krishna. And Bhishma Dev at once gave up all his weapons and he stood to be killed by Krishna. He was thinking it to be very fortunate to be killed by Krishna. He has given up everything, all the weapons. So when you surrender, you give up everything. You just depend on Krishna. So when you just depend on Krishna, everything falls in place. You get all in your life what you are actually wishing for, desiring for, because Krishna takes care of you. Here, Bhishma Dev actually he was a surrendered soul, he was a pure devotee of the Lord, and he knew Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is there, and he knew that Krishna was fighting, he was standing with the Pandavas, he was shielding Pandavas, he was protecting Pandavas. So this is how it is. When we are surrendered, we may face many difficulties in life, we may come across, like the Pandavas, they faced a lot of difficulties, their life was always full of difficulties, but Krishna was always standing with them. Through the thick and thin, Krishna was with them. So, but he was never with Duryodhana. Duryodhana may had all the opulences in the world. He had everything. He had acquired a big kingdom. He had acquired a big army. He even had the celestial army. Some may say, oh, why Krishna gave him the celestial army? Krishna gave him everything what he was desiring. He gave him everything, but did not let him win. Did not let him harm his pure devotees. The pure devotees remained the pure devotees. The 5 Pandavas, they remained pure. They remained always with the blessings of Krishna. They were always under the blessings of Krishna. Duryodhana never had those blessings with him. So this is how a pure devotee of the Lord is. He is always protected, shielded by the Supreme Lord. So here Prabhupada gives, of course there was no possibility of Arjun's death. Prabhupada very clearly says, Of course, there was no possibility of Arjuna's death. Arjuna was never going to be harmed. Arjuna was never going to be killed. Pandavas would not be harmed. Or in this war, the Pandavas remained, actually came out all hale and hearty. Rest, everybody died. So this is how with the Pandavas, the 5 Pandavas, and there were few others that remained hale and hearty. But all the Kauravas died. The 100 of the Kauravas died. They all died. So this is how it is when the pure devotee of the Lord completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord, remains under the shelter of the Lord, gets the protection of the Lord. And here it says, Prabhupada says, of course, Arjuna's death could not happen. There was no possibility at all because the Lord was on the chariot. So when the Lord is on your side, nobody can actually do harm to you. But because Bhishma, they wanted to see Lord take up some weapon to save his friend, the Lord created this situation. So Krishna knew that this was the desire of Bhishma Dev. This was the desire of the pure devotee of the Lord, that he wanted to see Krishna with a weapon in his hand in the battlefield. He wanted to see him with a weapon in his hand. And so Krishna made it so happen that Krishna gets angry, Krishna goes down the earth, picks up the weapon, picks up the wheel, poses that as a weapon, and then fights and charges against the Bhishma. So this is how it is. There, he takes up some weapon to save his friend. The Lord created this situation, making Arjuna's death imminent. He stood before Bhishma Dev to show him that his promise was fulfilled and he had taken up the wheel. So this was just to show Bhishma that his promise was actually what he had, his wish was show him that his promise was fulfilled, and he showed Bhishma Dev that your desire is also fulfilled, as well as Krishna actually had taken the promise that he will not pick up a weapon. So wheel was not a weapon, but it became a weapon in his Krishna's hand. So likewise, Krishna is very clever. He is the cleverest of the clever. He can do anything. He keeps, the Prahlad is actually under, when Narsimha is appearing, what happens? Brahmaji has given a vow, Brahmaji has given a boon there that nobody can kill Hiranyakashipu, and nobody can kill Hiranyakashipu neither in the night, neither in the morning, neither up in the sky or on the earth, neither by any weapon. So this was all the promises were taken up by Hiranyakashipu, and he thought, oh, he had become now eternal. But then what did Krishna do? He appeared as Narsimha. So you see, even when you are trying to act smart with Krishna, Krishna knows how actually, Krishna is the smartest of the smartest. So he actually is the cleverest of the clever. He knows everything. And he organizes in such a way that he keeps his promise, as well as he does not let his devotee be harmed. He protects his devotee. So here it is a wonderful, this actually reveals that how it is that Bhishma Dev was again a pure devotee of the Lord, could fulfill his own desire. At the same time, he could actually be a motivation for the Yudhishthira Maharaj as well, for the Pandavas. So here that was all happening under the will of the Supreme Lord. Everything is happening because of the Supreme Lord's will. So there if we go to the 35th verse, it says in the translation, in obedience to the command of his friend Lord Shri Krishna, entered the arena of battlefield of Kurukshetra between the soldiers of Arjuna and Duryodhana, and while there he shortened the lifespans of the opposite party by his merciful glance. Even killing of the opposite party is his mercy, because they were all being liberated. So here it's his mercy when the other party, the army of the other party is dying. That is his mercy again. He's showering his mercy on them. This was done simply by his looking at the enemy. Let my mind be fixed upon that Krishna. These are all what who is speaking? This is Bhishma Deva speaking. So Bhishma Deva is talking here that let my mind be fixed upon that Krishna, by whose merciful glance the opposite The army of the opposite party is being destroyed, his own army, where Bhishma Dev is already. So that is again Krishna's mercy. So he speaks of that. These are beautiful verses. This chapter in itself is extremely beautiful, where we can understand the pure devotee, where people who talk about the battle of Mahabharata, they understand why it was fought and what was happening there. Because Bhishma Dev is a Mahajana. Out of 12 Mahajana, he is one of the Mahajana. So when he is speaking with authority. He is the authority. He is the main authority. When he speaks, it means yes, this means business. Yes, he is right. He is absolutely right. So these things actually, these verses help us to build up our faith in Krishna. It's all about, devotional life is all about building up your faith in Krishna. Unless you have faith and devotion for Krishna, how one can attain Krishna? So these shlokas, these verses here help us to build our faith in Krishna, build our strong faith in Krishna. Our devotion to Krishna becomes strong. So here if you go to I'm just going to the previous shloka so that we understand how this shloka is coming up. In the 34th he says, on the battlefield where Sri Krishna attended Arjuna out of friendship and the flowing hair of Lord Krishna turned ashen due to the dust raised by the hooves of the horses, and because of his labor, beads of sweat wetted his face. All these decorations intensified by the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows were enjoyed by him. Let my mind thus go unto Sri Krishna. So Bhishma Dev is saying, he is actually giving us the appearance of Krishna, how Krishna looked in the battlefield, how Krishna was actually intensified there in the battlefield, how his hair were ashen due to the dirt that is raised by the horses, the hooves of the horses. So this is actually the Satchita Anand, the Krishna's roop, the Krishna's form is Satchita Anand, full of eternity, bliss and knowledge. And serving Krishna is actually the main objective of life. That is the transcendental loving service one should give to Krishna. So Prabhupada talks about it, that Bhishma Dev appreciated the merciful attitude of the Lord because he did not leave Arjuna alone for a second even. Krishna never left the side of Pandavas. He never left the side of Arjuna throughout, because that's why he became the chariot driver. To be with Arjuna every moment. He was there with Arjuna for every moment. He was protecting Arjuna every moment, every second he was there. And because when we become devotees, we are full of devotion, then Krishna never leaves our side. He is always there with us every moment. Every second he is there with us, like he was with Arjuna. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also talks about this in the purports. Prabhupada talks it, that the pure devotees of the Lord are always surrendered. They are always at the mercy of the Supreme Lord, and Arjuna was, Pandavas were like that. They were at the mercy of the Supreme Lord, and Supreme Lord was always with them. He would never leave them. They were always under the shelter of the Supreme Lord. So Kunti Maharani prayers, they also prove that. Like Bhishma Deva instructions, Kunti Maharani prayers also prove that she prays that in distress, Krishna, you never leave me. You are always there with us whenever we are in distress. So always keep me in distress. Nobody prays like that. We don't have the courage even to pray like that please keep me in distress. We never pray to Krishna like that. So please put us in distress so that you may never leave us. She prayed like that. She prayed that, let me be in distress because you never leave us. So this is how a pure devotee of the Lord, they know it. Whether they are in whatever situation they are, Krishna will not leave them. Like Krishna did not leave Arjuna. This shloka is very prominent here today because Krishna leaves the chariot. He goes down on the earth. He is there on the ground. He goes picking up the wheel. So making it the weapon and then trying to hit. He charges at Bhishma Dev, another pure devotee of the Lord who is totally surrendered to Krishna. And then what Bhishma Dev does, he actually sheds all the weapons down there as a surrender to Krishna. So this story, Vyasadevji has given such elaborate story of this, how Bhishma Dev passes away. He could have just ended in 2 verses that this word of arrows happened and then that he gave the instructions and everything happened. But no, every shloka is actually very important for us to understand. Every shloka reveals something. Every shloka reveals very important points here. Like this shloka in itself has got many important points. The first, it comes here that Bhishma Devi is saying he is fulfilling my desire. That means the desire of the pure devotee is always fulfilled. He sacrifices his own promise. Second point comes up that Krishna never bothers with what he promised. But for his pure devotee comes first. The protection, his words to the pure devotee, that is the first, that he is at the side of Arjuna, is protecting them. So he fulfilled the desire of Bhishma Deva, he sacrificed his own promise, and then he actually became angry. So Prabhupada mentions how it shows when his pitambar dropped away. When his outer garment was dropped away, he was very, very angry because he didn't know even that it had dropped away. So another third point comes in this shloka is the anger of Krishna. And when does the anger erupts? This anger erupts when his devotee is in trouble. Arjuna is in trouble and Krishna charges at Bhishma Dev. He doesn't want his devotee to be hurt. He does not want Arjuna to be killed. So that is the Arjuna actually is the hero. Arjuna is actually the ideal for all of us. For Arjuna, the Bhagavad Gita was spoken because for us it was spoken. It had to come to us through Arjuna. So Arjuna is very dear to Krishna. Krishna never wants Arjuna to actually face any trouble like this and he protects him. So third is that he gets angry. He gets angry at Bhishma Deva and he charges at Bhishma Deva in anger. So these 3 points we pick up from this shloka. That he fulfills the desire of his devotees, then he sacrifices his own promises. Third, he gets angry. He gets angry because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I am very impartial. I have no friends and no enemies. He says that. But bhaktya mama vijanati. Only my devotees, pure devotees know me. So there Arjuna is his pure devotee. Arjuna never leaves him. Arjuna is Gudakesh. Gudakesh is the one who has won the ignorance, who actually has conquered ignorance. He is the one who is conquered ignorance means who is totally into the Supreme Lord, who is totally doing the kirtan, chanting his holy name. Always he is Machit Madgat Prana, his actually pran, his life, soul is Krishna. He is always talking, singing the glories of Krishna. So that's what Arjuna is. So here the 3 points we pick up from this shloka very clearly, that Krishna does get angry if his pure devotee is put into trouble. If he sees his pure devotee is in the trouble, Krishna gets he gets angry. Narsimhadev got angry on Hiranyakashipu. And so many similarities you can see. For every incarnation when he takes, when he protects his devotee, same feelings come there. He is very angry. Narsimhadev is very angry. When he's killing Hiranyakashipu in his lap, he's tearing off Hiranyakashipu with his nails, but he's very angry at that time. And all the demigods, including his wife, Lakshmi Devi, she's present there. The demigods come to Lakshmi Devi and tell her to please go to Narsimhadev and pacify him. But then she says, I cannot go near him. He is full of anger at this time. I cannot go near him. And then she says, only one person can go near him, and that is Prahlad, the devotee of the Lord. And a garland was given to Prahlad. Prahlad walks down to the Supreme Lord Narsimhadev and he garlands Narsimhadev. And Narsimhadev is pacified. And Narsimhadev takes Prahlad in his lap and he is licking him because he is in the animal form. He is in the half lion. So to exhibit his love to Prahlad, his devotee, he licks him, gives him his love, showers his love on him. So this is how a pure devotee of the Lord is. He pacifies the anger. And here Narsimhadev was angry on Hiranyakashipu because he was giving troubles to his devotee. Though Hiranyakashipu is the father of Prahlad. He can say, oh, I am his father, I can do anything with him. I can do whatever I like, he is my son. But no, Prahlad is dear devotee of the Supreme Lord. The dear devotee of the Supreme Lord is being protected by the Supreme Lord himself here. Likewise, Arjuna is being protected here by the Supreme Lord. So this is how the Krishna is. Krishna actually protects his devotees. He gets angry, like Prahlad in Narsimhadev got angry on Hiranyakashipu. Here, Krishna is angry on Bhishma Deva. Bhishma Deva is a pure devotee. And this whole, Prabhupada says, this whole was arrangement done to actually fulfill the desire of Bhishma Deva also. Bhishma Deva wanted him to pick up a weapon. He said, I will force you to pick up a weapon. And then he literally forced Krishna to pick up the weapon, the wheel as the weapon. So that is the pure devotee of the Lord. Haribol. So it's now 8:50. Anybody has any questions? We have on Zoom also going on. So if any questions are there, please you can ask. Even those who are watching on the YouTube here, they can ask questions if they want. So on the YouTube even, if anybody has any questions, please go ahead. You can write it here. Is there any question, Prabhuji? No?
If they speak on Zoom.
Okay, Acha, they'll speak from there. Yes? Pran jai par vachan na jai. But Krishna, there is no limits for Krishna. Nobody can bind Krishna. He can do whatever he likes. He's the Supreme Lord. So his words, but he's keeping his word. He's not picked up a weapon. He's just picked up a wheel. It's not a weapon. Even for the vow where he took up for the Prahlad Maharaj even, he did not come in the appearance of God himself. He came as Narsimhadev. He kept the words. So he does keep the words. He does keep the words. Pranjai, he keeps the vachan also. He does not do that. But for him there is no pranjai because he is actually the creator for everybody. He is the creator. So how can his life is in danger? His life is never in danger. I hope that satisfies. Any other question?
I appreciate that you were talking about how beautiful these texts are. You know, there's some time taken to write all of these texts, and there's so much to be gained from them, and there's a lot of significance in each one of these verses that's given. It's just amazing that he has this meditation at the end of his life about this vision of Krishna running at him as he's standing on the chariot. It's like in detail visioning Krishna's. So it's a beautiful meditation. I just appreciate how you were expressing how beautiful it actually is.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Because sometimes we think, oh, it's going to a bit lengthy. Only 2-3 lines are there. It's in literal words when we go, we say, just make little sense, Oh, it's okay. He's coming down the road, he picks up a wheel and he's charging at him. That's done. But it's got deep meaning behind it. So Prabhupada gives big purports, like one-page purports come with them. So that proves that they are very important shlokas. We just cannot read at a glance and go ahead. We have to meditate on them, as you said. Yes, these are meant for meditation. Each verse is meant for meditation. That's why the Bhagavatam is 18,000 verses, but still the Bhagavad Gita is just 700 verses. But again, it's a very confidential knowledge, it's Gautam Gyan. It's very difficult to understand. Without the mercy of the spiritual master, one cannot. So the meditation is important, but with the mercy of the spiritual master, under Srila Prabhupada's guidance, then only it can happen. Yes. Thank you. So we end here. So we end the session now. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapurana ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you.